Yeah.
We love you, Papa Moi.
Ooh, I love you too. Mwah. All right, let's get into this. All right, guys. So I'm sure many of you have come across this woman talking about gay babies, and now a lot of you guys got upset. I'm just looking at some of the thing. A couple of my friends here, if this isn't okay, stuff like that. But let's listen to it. Let's get the message from it, and let me provide you my nuanced take on this. So here we go.
My baby.
Oh, first of all, let's make this loud enough so we can even hear this damn thing. Am I right, guys, or what? Ha!
My baby is gay. Yeah, this is him. He's gay. I called up my dad and I said, hey, guess what? Your grandson, gay. Gay, gay, gay. My dad says, you can't just say that your baby is gay before he gets a chance to tell us he's gay. And I go, whoa, 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 whoa. Straight people do it all the time. Little baby boy is born. Oh, he's gonna be a heartbreaker. Little baby girl is born. Oh, you better lock her up when she turns 16. Clearly, people want their children to be straight. Well, my son is gay. Gay. Very gay. Very gay. Gay. Straight people, do you see? You sound ridiculous when you call babies heartbreakers and say that little baby girls need to be locked up. Stop doing this. It's also just creepy. So stop sexualizing babies.
Weird. So first and foremost, the point she's trying to make is that it's weird. It's the point she's trying to make, which she actually kind of failed at making. Now that I rewatched it again, is she's trying to make this point where it's like, oh, you shouldn't say whether your kid's straight or not, right? But the problem is that the term heartbreaker and locking your kid away, those aren't really messages exclusive to straight babies. Like, you could say that your young son can be a heartbreaker and be gay. Your daughter can be lesbian and still need to be locked away at 16. That's more of an issue with just stereotypical gender roles. So overall, that's actually kind of a miss on her part. Like, she didn't even accurately display her one message. But anyway, what she was trying to say is, that she's trying to protest the idea that, or rather us affirming a specific categorization on our kids of whether they're straight or gay, right? And I sat on this for a while and really thought about it. And let's first talk about the obvious aspect of it. And the reality is that most of the time your kid's going to be straight, right? So affirming that your kid's going to be straight is kind of just assuming what it's probably already going to be. And a lot of people come from that perspective. However, to add on to that, there's another part to consider, and that is the reality of the situation is that being gay is a mixture between environmental and genetic factors. To my understanding, there is no gay gene. There may be some predispositions towards being gay, right? Similar to maybe how people may have a particular predisposition towards food, or not to get exaggerated or anything, or towards drugs, but that doesn't mean that they are inherently born liking a particular food or a particular drug. It's just like overall ways. And then you would always, you would grow up and the environmental factors would really determine who you are more than anything else. So you could make the argument that by encouraging your young kid to grow up gay, or straight, that means that they're going to have a higher chance of growing up straight. Now, what we'd have to offset, though, is I know she's probably not doing this to her kid, but is there really anything fundamentally wrong with being gay? And the answer really is no, there's nothing wrong with being gay. Raising your baby gay, I suppose, is fine. There's nothing wrong with being gay. I think that some people have an issue or take issue with the fact that the term gay is generally applied to men. And the word gay, whether you like it or not, is seen as a negative in society. Lesbian, not so much, but gay seen as a negative because gay men are seen as an overall negative to our society. And mostly, I would say that's because being gay usually, stereotypically, comes with more feminine features. And femininity in men is very much not appreciated in society. And I think that that's part of where it comes from. Me personally, I think a bigger issue is the reality of the situation, where I would personally want to raise my kid to be as straight as possible. I would want to raise my kid to be as normal as possible, while allowing teaching them to accept things that are abnormal or that go away from the normal. because honestly, like whether we like it or not, gay people aren't accepted in society. Like I'd rather have my kid grow up and be straight because they're going to face less oppression. That's it. We could sit here and say, well, society should be more accepting, and I totally agree. But we also need to come to the reality of the situation, and that is that gay people aren't really accepted fully as the especially gay men, as straight people are. And so that's why I would prefer my kid to be straight. Now, if my kid is gay, that's fine. But it kind of opens up this whole other thing. And I think this is something that we kind of have to wrap our heads around. First and foremost, you can teach, you can like be like, oh, my baby boy's gonna be a heartbreaker, and you can make it more neutral to like boys and girls. Like I said before, your male son can be a little heartbreaker. Your female, well, of course, your son can be a heartbreaker. Your daughter can be you could still want to be protective over your daughter. And you can apply those in a way where it's still accepting to be gay. They're talking more about how like your son's going to be a ladies' man and your daughter's is going to need to be locked up away from all the kids, or else she's going to, you know, attract, I guess, unwanted attention. A little bit weird in general. That we teach our young daughters to be locked away rather than strong. But that's a whole conversation for another day. But then, of course, then you get into this whole other conversation of you're a social justice warrior, right? Where it's like, well, you know, why are we gendering? I don't know, normal gender roles, whatever. But the thing is this is the big thing, is that I think that this is a conversation that we should have as a society towards raising our kids. I would say more along the lines of straight, but raising our kids to be a little bit more open and accepting. And I say this overall because there's a factor we're not considering in a straight community. Of course, we're going to want to raise our kids more straight, but we should raise them more accepting and even give them the option to potentially choose what they want. I mean, biologically speaking, our kids are probably going to gravitate more towards being straight anyway, because they're going to want to have babies, and it's very much in like something that's like within us. But if you flip it around to a gay couple, a child getting raised by a gay couple that's straight is going to face a similar distress than a gay kid being raised by a straight family, right? So let me say that again, because I think I might have mixed it up. A straight child being raised by a gay couple will face a similar distress as a gay child raised by a straight couple. And so what we should try to do as a society is say, hey, listen, let our kids be raised in a certain way to remove a particular amount of distress, so that as they get older, they don't experience that discomfort within their parents. Because like, honestly, there are people, and I'm not one of them, I don't really care if your kid's gay or not, but like are upset because they don't want gay people to raise kids. They're like, oh, well, you won't raise them normal, yada, 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 yada. So if we make this an overarching societal understanding of raising your kids to be, allow them to be accepting overall and to choose their sexuality, this is something that can blanket over both straight couples and gay couples, right? You understand what I'm saying? This way, it's something that's fair to everybody. It's equal and applicable to everybody, right? And to be honest with, but to be honest with you, people are still going to gravitate towards particular things. I don't really see it as an issue if you want to raise your kids straight. I would say just leave enough room to have them so that they understand that if they're not straight, they're not going to be ridiculed by either family. And I suppose that as uncomfortable as it is, there's nothing inherently wrong with raising your kid as gay. I think that and I'm going to touch on it again, the only issue with raising your kid as gay are the stereotypes that typically come with it, right? And I'm not saying don't raise your kid gay. I'm saying that like the stereotypes coming along with being considered gay, especially as a son, are a lack of strength, right? Too much femininity. I know this sounds weird, but this gets into my last point, which is I think that nowadays we need to start raising our kids to be strong. We need to start raising our boys and girls to be men. Both our boys and both our girls. I know that sounds silly, but right now the standing up for yourself is considered like a male trait. And we don't teach our daughters enough of standing up for themselves. Oftentimes, dads will raise their young daughters to be more feminine and submissive, generally speaking, to align with traditional roles. The thing is that we're seeing less and less fathers in the household. And when you do that, effectively what you're doing is you're setting up your daughter to be somebody that is going to be at victim of the traditional power dynamic where another man can very easily have control over your daughter, and the only stopgap to that is if the dad gets involved. So I think we need to teach our daughters to be more strong in general, and it would solve a lot of problems. With the wage gap, I know people are going to melt down, but there's a wage gap at the top, not so much at the bottom, right? It's at the very tippy top in the corporate world. There's a wage gap, and I would argue that a lot of that, or at least part of it, is because women don't advocate enough for themselves as far as like what they are or aren't worth. You get to a point where like wages are no longer monitored. Now it's up to what you ask for and like what your output is versus what you can put out versus what you're accepting, willing to take in. So I know that's going to probably have some issues with my daughters. My sons are going to have no problem finding women. My daughters are going to have problems finding men. That's how my family is in general. But that's my whole take on this entire thing. I think that we need to kind of start having a conversation as a society towards like raising our kids. I would say lean more straight, but raising our kids in a way where they're accepting of regardless of which way they go, right? Because at the end of the day, guys, being a little gay is the optimal perfect. I'm a little gay. I'm perfect. I'm a perfect human being. That means being a little gay is perfect, right? There you go. That was a little funny joke to end off with. So yeah, there you go. That's my take on that. I know some of you guys thought it was going to be a little bit crazy, but I didn't have anything crazy to say. I've been sitting on that for a while. Honestly, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but I think some of you guys should just like take a deep breath. I want to say thank you so much, guys, to all my Patreons, and a special shout out to my Papa XL Patreons. Without all of you guys, I would just be some fat dude screaming into a microphone. So thank you so much, guys. Mwah, I love you all. I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.